In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up the Bitmap scroller class and how to run it so that you can test it on a web browser and deploy it to an Android phone. The Bitmap scroller is a class that extends Bitmap, and it allows you to give it several Bitmap datas, and then it internally lays them out horizontally, and then you can scroll through them left and right. And it's very, very fast, and it's a really good effect that I've used on several websites. And it's also a prime candidate to show just the performance benchmarks of going from desktop to mobile. To get started, you're going to want to go to github.com/bum/bitmap scroller, and you'll copy the URL here. You're going to see the read only. So here, if you remember from the last videos I did on the introduction to Git, we're going to do a clone and let this check out. Great. So now that it's checked out, we're going to go into FTT here and set this up as a project. So when we checked it out, it was called Bitmap Scroller. And as you see, we now have the entire Bitmap Scroller in FTT. So we're going to use Ant to do our two compiles. And if you're not familiar with Ant, it's definitely something you should check out, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to get set up. All the build stuff is automated for you. The first thing you need to do is copy this file and paste it again. And as you paste it, you're going to want to rename it to build.properties. So most Ant scripts have a properties file. This is very important. It'll have all the paths and configuration for the Ant build. And this is what you customize on your own computer. If you open it up and you go to the Build Properties tab down here, you'll see all the paths and these default values. What you're going to probably need to do is go in and change the path to your Flex Home. You see I have it in Applications Flash Builder SDKs 4.0, and I've renamed this because I mapped the new Android stuff to it as Air for Android 2.1. I also had to download the Android SDK from Google, and you'll see I downloaded it here. I made a Documents Android Dev SDK folder, and I gave it a name of 2.1 here. So this is for the older build of Android. I also have properties here that allow me to build for 2.2, so I can switch between the two. So that was the first step. Next, you need to go into this this tab here, which is External Tools, and you'll see an Ant build. We're going to call this Bitmap Scroller Web, and what we need to do is browse for our build file. So it's in the root of our project. So here we click Build, and now we have it set up. In the targets, you'll see that full build is automatically set up. And what the full build does is it'll run the unit test, it compiles the project, and it'll open the browser for you. And that's all you really need to do to get this to run. So let's have this build, and while it's building, I'll go into a little bit of how it works. In our build folder is two folders, a bin resources and a HTML template. The HTML template represents the index file, and the bin resources represents whatever winds up in our bin folder when we're done. So you'll see in our bin resources we have images and some JavaScript. As you see, it's just compiled the Swift. So once it compiles the Swift and moves everything over, it now opens the browser, and we're able to test the Bitmap scroller. And you'll see it's running at about 30 frames a second, between 30 and 32 frames, which is really good at a 720p resolution right now. So this is the Bitmap scroller running on the desktop. So let's close this and actually get this to build for the phone. So we're going to go back into our build here, and we're going to duplicate this and call it Android. Hit apply, and if you go into the targets here, you'll uncheck this and you're going to click this deploy to phone. And you'll see there's a deploy to emulator and deploy to phone. Assuming you have your Android phone connected and Air is installed, if you run this, it's going to go through and do the same thing. It's going to copy over the bin, it's going to compile it, and once it's done compiling it, it's actually going to convert it into an APK. And it does some stuff here where it auto uninstalls the application, does the APK packaging, and then it deploys it to the phone. So as you see, Ant is a really good way of automating your builds, especially if you're going from web to desktop to mobile and you want to use the same code base, but you don't want to have to set up all these different builds. You can just do it all automated through Ant.